Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. So today, guys, we're going to talk about a number of things. The first thing we're going to talk about is these joysticks from Handheld DIY. These are the Hall Effect joysticks, and a lot of people keep asking me about them, asking me how they're doing and things like that. I've been sent over several revisions, so we're going to talk about the ones that I have and the ones that I've used and my experience with them, and you may be surprised, or you may not. But we're going to also talk about how I doubled my battery life on my ROG Ally and why the option that I have for you here is going to be much safer and much better than the laptop modification, where people actually cut out the back plate and put over a 3D printed housing with a laptop battery. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do it, and why I don't talk about it, and why I haven't done it as well. And then we're also going to talk about the state of my ROG Ally and more. So if you're new here, I welcome you to check out the Discord links in the description, comment, ask questions, whatever you want to do, that'd be cool. So let's get started. So first of all, guys, these joysticks were really cool to me. I really like the company. Handheld DIY is an amazing company. They did send a bunch of these over for review. It was not paid, but in the beginning, I was kind of happy with them. I didn't notice the issues right away per se, but we're going to actually show you what the issues are. So first of all, these are the replacement joysticks you can buy, and you can see I've got them numbered. Some of them have little shielding around them. Let's get a little zoom in action here. So some of them have this little shielding tape around it, and they'll actually send you a bunch of this stuff with it. It's supposed to block out the magnetic interference that is happening when you press the trigger. So I'm going to show you what happens. If you play a racing game like Forza, you're going to be kind of experiencing this probably more than some people. So this is Hardware Tester, Gamepad Tester. It's a website you can go to, and you can actually see if your joysticks have any drift or anything like that. Hall Effect joysticks typically don't drift as much, so if you're centered, it kind of tends to drift after you've used these things for a while with normal joysticks, but Hall Effects typically don't have that. We're going to discuss that further, but here's what's happening. So you can see if I use this left joystick and I'm steering and I'm going into a corner and then I need to hit the brakes, you can actually see this change a little bit, either positively or negatively as I hit the brakes. So it can impact your steering in directions like that. It's pretty intense, and this is actually after tons and tons of adjustments, dead zone and anti-dead zone calibration. This is as good as you can get. And even on center, if you press that trigger, you can notice a little bit of wobble. Now, some of them, and I say some of them, will have less, but most of them, I mean, you can see how many I have. They all have it in a way. Some people may not notice it right off, but if you're playing like a first-person shooter and you are using the scope or whatever, and you need to zoom, use your scope basically, that is going to affect it a lot when you press that and you're moving it around like sniping and stuff. So unfortunately, they do not get my stamp of recommendation for the left side. Now for the right side, I don't have any issues at all, and I'm going to show you why. So what's happening is there is actually a magnetic sensor for the trigger. When you press that, it actually senses input on these Hall Effect joysticks. So let's show you exactly where it is. So right here is your magnetic sensor for the trigger. When you press it, there's like a little magnet right here. Now on this side, you can see it's in a little bit different position because the joystick is moved down far enough where it actually won't impact it on the right side. So that's something to notate. I've spoken with Handheld DIY, I've got in their Discord, I've spoken with all my fellow content creators like OKS Gamer and some of the other guys I know who got sets of these as well. There's pretty much a consensus that we're just really not happy with them, and we really don't like to talk about them because we were kind of trying to give Handheld DIY an opportunity to fix it, and it just doesn't seem like it's a possibility at the moment. So Handheld DIY, if you're listening, thank you so much for sending these out. You are a good company. You sell good accessories like this really nice padded case here. I really like the back plate that I've seen on other channels. I was supposed to get one of these, but I'm not sure what happened with that. So maybe that'll happen, maybe that won't. I know we were supposed to talk about having a contest to give some of those away, but at this time that hasn't panned out just yet. So I'm not throwing it all away. I'm not giving up. I will test more of these in the future if they send them to me. But as of right now, I don't think it's a good option for you guys to tinker with. Now, the one thing I also like that they did is they did make a tighter spring in here. I know you guys saw another video I'll put up here where I modified the spring and I made it tighter. That was very cool of them to do that. However, they still used the Hall effect joysticks. Even though they weren't supposed to be, they did still have that interference. So even though they were just the tighter versions, they were great. The tightness was impeccable. I loved it. But unfortunately, it just did not get my stamp of recommendation because it did not get past that interference issue. And that's something that bothers me because it does affect my gameplay. I'm a very precise player when I'm drifting on like Forza, for example, or if I'm playing, you know, Modern Warfare, any first person shooters, and I'm on a hill sniping. I can't be off by any distance. So that is a no-go. If you are a platform player and you're playing Mario or some game that's like a side scroller, it's probably not going to bother you. But with that said, we're moving on to the next topic. Now, the next thing I have been asked about a ton is when will I do the laptop battery modification? And basically, I'll try to throw a picture up above here. And you can see now where it just doesn't look quite right. You'll have a lot of stuff off the back. You'll have to modify a Asus laptop battery. You have to cut it open, fold it. It's very dangerous. I'm not sure if you guys watched the Gamers Nexus video where he actually mentioned me in my backplate mods with the ROG fan here. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it up here.
Up next, the ROG Ally and the mods for it are getting kind of crazy. YouTube creator CPPC Tech has been experimenting with adding more coolant and storage to the Ally across several videos, and in a recent video showed off an RGB 92mm fan mod with internal power and control. The modder also added a custom white acrylic ROG logo fan grill for style, out ROG and even ROG. CPPC Tech goes over the wiring and shows other mods, like an EK-M.2 heatsink on an aftermarket 2280 size SSD, an additional heatsink on the center of the main heat pipe, and copper shims to soak heat on the RAM. The end result is obviously a little bulky with the fan on the back, but it looks like a well-executed mod overall.
Now, in that video, he actually discussed this fan and how it's cool and how I out ROG'd even ROG, which was quite funny. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Steve. So he mentioned the battery and he said it's very dangerous, and you can tell his reservations on it as well.
But lastly, we get the most dangerous mod of them all, which is expanding the battery capacity. If you are going to do a mod like this, a couple of things. First of all, we don't recommend it. Secondly, it can be dangerous. And third, the guide that they published for this mod recommends that you keep a bucket of sand nearby in case things go south and you need to bring the device outside. So proceed with caution if you do it.
He did not seem to be a proponent of that mod, and neither am I for various reasons. But if you want to know a better option, here it is. Let me tell you, this was exciting. It was a long time in the making, and I wanted to make sure that it was fully tested and that I didn't have any issues or drawbacks with it. You guys know my videos. I kind of make sure that I give you the truth. I don't want anyone to buy something that they don't need or have issues with it later down the line. This is the way that I set mine up, okay? So I recommend picking this up. This is actually a really good case. This is the JSOX mod case, and it doesn't mean mod like it modifies your device. It means mod because it's modular. Naming scheme kind of was confusing at first, but it does come with this little adapter here, and you can put in your battery bank here and strap it to the back. And when it's on, it actually acts almost as like a stand. I was able to double the battery life on my ROG Ally. Now, I could go in and show you proven videos and all that stuff, but you know, I try not to waste time with that because I feel like you guys know me enough. I don't tell people the wrong things. I'm not misleading people. I really do this because it's a passion of mine, so you will unfortunately have to trust me, bro, on this. But if you would like to see a deeper video, maybe some video proof, I guess, maybe I could do a time lapse of sitting this and playing with it for, you know, an extra hour. But here's the thing. average, I can probably get about literally double the battery life, especially on Modern Warfare. And you can actually still enable that 30-watt turbo mode with this. This is the Ugreen 145-watt power bank. It is 25,000 mAh. It does have some weight to it. It does have a screen. You can tell the battery percentage that's left here. It does have output up to 140 watts here, so you actually can power a laptop with this thing that does support that USB-C charging. And then you've got a USB-A and then another USB-C here. But here is the cool thing that I really liked about this. We can take our cable here and now plug it up right here. Now, this is a special cable that is made by Cable Creation. It has an OLED screen on it, so it tells you exactly how much power it's pulling out of there. Currently, it is pulling about 61 to 60 watts, and that's just sitting idle. Now, if you look here, we do have that 30-watt turbo mode enabled, and that's the wattage for the APU. That's not total system power draw. This is what we're total drawing out of it currently. When you're doing games and benchmarks and things like that, you're going to draw every bit of that 65 watts. If you're using a dock, this even will power the dock. I recently just got back from a trip and I took this with me and I actually had this hooked into my Ugreen dock. So I was using this dock right here and I was displaying it to a TV and I had my Ugreen 145 watt power adapter plugged into it, and even outputting to a TV, I still was getting double the battery life that I would have without it, and I was getting better FPS because I was really able to enable that 30-watt mode right there. So that is a huge, huge advantage right here. Another tip, if you're trying to squeeze out more battery life out of this thing, make sure you disable these RGB rings. Turn your screen brightness down. You can lower the refresh rate to 60 hertz if you're playing a game that doesn't get up to 120 FPS. If it is like a Alan Wake type game or a platformer game or something that's really good graphics even, and it just will hit that 60 FPS target, go ahead and lower that refresh rate. You'll get a little bit more battery life out of it. Another thing that I like to do is I like to run this in the 900p mode. Now that's going to basically look almost as good as 1080p in my opinion, but it just isn't as hard to push for the GPU. So you may not even be drawing as much power, and your temps will thank you as well. You will run a little bit lower on the temperatures as well. So with that said, I think that would wrap up my kind of like state of the Ally for the battery life video I've been promising to make, but I honestly I don't have enough content to film with it to make a whole video. I really think this is going to be a great addition to anyone's handheld setup. If you want to double your battery life, like I said, it's got some weight. It does throw in the bag really easy. It does clip on the back of one of these JSOX mod cases. I personally love it. I've been using the heck out of this thing for the past couple of weeks, and I really put it through its paces. I'm able to take it on the go, charge my Ally. I'm able to charge my phone. I'm able to charge my tablets. This is kind of like my go-to favorite, like accessory to take with me. And yeah, I think you should pick one of these up. There's a ton of different brands out there. I will say I watched some videos. I'll try to link it up here. He actually went over a ton of these different battery banks, and he showed which ones were, like living up to their rated power, which ones were, over-promising and under-delivering, things like that. I don't think he particularly reviewed the Ugreen, but it'll give you an idea of what to expect with some of the other brands out there. So if you are price shopping and this comes up in your, options, and it's just a little more money than you want to spend, consider comparing some of the other ones. But I will say Ugreen's extremely trustworthy. They make high quality chargers. The technology that they put in these with the thermal protections, and even like these little chargers with the GaN technology and the air power technology to basically get a charger down in size significantly, like this is basically the same as this, but it's just smaller with the newer technology. It's just interesting when you start looking at how they're doing it and why it works and things like that. So I really I really think this is what you should do instead of that laptop battery mod. Another danger is exploding batteries, leaking batteries. I've even seen some batteries just be defective, and so some of the people have done the mod, and then a month or two later they have a dead battery on their hands. Laptop batteries, if it's an aftermarket one, they're just trash. They're absolutely trash. So if you are thinking about doing the battery mod, try to find a legitimately OEM battery, not like OEM-ish or whatever. You want to make sure that the manufacturer is Asus and it is an authentic Asus battery. You have to extend your wire harness for it as well. It's a very involved mod. The backplate addition is kind of funky. I think it can affect thermals in a way, but some people say it doesn't. Not gonna do it. You're not gonna see that here on the channel. But what you are going to see on the channel next is this Lenovo Legion laptop. Now, this is featuring a 4090 and an Intel i9 CPU. So you can look forward to seeing this Lenovo Legion 9 soon. This is going to blow your mind. I can assure you that. The next video you will probably see is going to be the unboxing and the full review of this following that video. We have got so many videos planned for you guys. I might even talk about the MSI Claw. I am trying to get in touch with them. I would love to get one. So MSI, if you're watching, please, 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 I would love to get in contact with you and discuss getting one of these for the channel so we can review it. It is a beautiful handheld. I love what you did with it. I love the Intel APU. I am a huge fan. I really can't wait to check it out. So regardless of if they send it or I buy it, you will be seeing one of those on the channel soon. So stay tuned for that. There's a ton of new projects I've got in the pipeline. So bear with me. Our videos are slowly but surely coming back. I am back, baby. And if you have any questions, please drop them below. Please remember the Discord. And with that said, guys, I hope all y'all have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night.